All right, I am going to make this quick because I am hungry and I want to go home and eat dinner because it's 7 o'clock and I've been working for 10 and a half hours. Not too bad today. Anyway, this is your market update for May, meaning we're going to go in and analyze the numbers from April and take a look at March and February to see where the trends are taking us, and we're going to try to project a little bit and see if we can figure out what's going to be happening this month. And by try, I mean we will do that. So a couple little interesting numbers. Last month we had our highest median price point, and so by last month I mean closed out numbers for March. We closed at $1.43 million for the median price point for all properties in Huntington Beach. So that includes condos, trailers, land, townhouses. So these numbers aren't skewed to just only show single-family homes. It is everything in Huntington. The reason we hit that peak when we did was because rates started decreasing a little bit in February, and they got very close down to 6.5% and are bouncing back close up to 7%, which is where they were prior to the month of February. Now, when purchasing power starts increasing, people get a little optimistic and a little hopeful that maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time rates will consistently start to go down. So maybe they'll take a little bit of a risk and put a little bit more money into their offer just to make it a little bit more presentable to try to actually lock up the house that they're interested in purchasing. But what also happens during that time is that there's no inventory. So we had record low inventory in January and February, like under 100 units available in Huntington Beach, or under 100 units that we're selling. And so you're going to have those people that are overpriced. You're going to have those total dumps that are just too much work. But all in all, there just wasn't a lot to choose from. So you pair that with decreasing interest rates, and you are priming yourself to hit a peak in the market as long as there's nothing. And so this is where it kind of gets weird. As long as there's nothing major looming in the world economy, which again, there was. So maybe we just have, I don't know if this is PC, but maybe we just have ballsy people out there buying property. Or maybe they just have so much money that it doesn't matter if the economy changes a little here or there and overall they can still afford the house. I don't know. I just know that there are two factors that are responsible for that increase. And then one that, I mean, all I can really take from that is people don't really care about tariffs as much as the news is making it out to be. I mean, obviously that's reflected in the fact that people are still purchasing luxury properties, normal properties, small properties, big properties, land, everything. Everything is still moving. It's moving at the same pace that it should be during this time of the year. You know, we had a slow January and February, which is typical, a massive increase in activity in March and a high purchase price, which historically March is always the month where we hit our highest price for sales. And this is not new news. I tracked data all the way back to 2011, uploaded all that data into ChatGPT, and I told me, analyze this. What is the highest price point month to sell your home during each year by looking at the historical data? And it was clear. It was March. Now, the most number of homes sell in July, which typically isn't good for price points. So even though, yes, summer is a big month for moving, and there's a lot of activity happening, it's not necessarily always the best activity for sellers. So if you were trying to get your top of the market, top dollar, March would have been the best time to sell your home. And by March, I mean February, because those houses that close in March that produce those high price points all enter escrow, usually 30 days, give or take, prior to that house closing. That being said, there is still a lot of optimism because I don't see much change around it. I mean, if you're like me and you don't watch the news other than reading the Wall Street Journal and just getting a take on the economy so you can speak about it when talking to clients, then life is good. I live in Huntington Beach. We had some sunshine today. I got to show some beautiful houses. I get to go home to my kids. Life's fantastic. If you read too much into what the news tells you, you're always going to think it's doom and gloom, but it's not. And this data reflects the fact that we don't have everybody sitting on the sidelines. There's still movement. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where all the people that are hesitating right now that do in fact need to move and they want to be certain of what's going to happen, well, you have other people in the market that are going to continue to move and they're going to continue to live their life regardless of what the news is saying about the economy, about geopolitical relationships. It doesn't matter. There's people that are going to keep going on with life. And what I'm sensing is going to happen is similar to what happened during COVID. Everyone panicked. I had 3 escrows cancel. A couple clients were business owners, And because their business shut down, they could no longer qualify for a loan because they weren't getting any income. And so I was panicked. I think it was like late February, early March 2020. I thought the market was shutting down. Bought an RV. My wife and I were just going to travel the country with the kids. And then all of a sudden, we rebounded like we have never seen before ever in the real estate market. And I didn't think that was going to happen. I don't think most people thought that was going to happen. And I think that's where the mentality and psychology is right now, is everyone thinks, well, with all this tension, something has to snap, right? Not necessarily. Nope, things can adjust. And what I believe is that people will just continue to move on living their life as most of us have done. So if you need to sell, try not to read too much into what I'm doing. The most important thing you can do is just never be out of the market. I've had clients that decided to sell, thought they were at the top, rented for a year, and all of a sudden they're paying 10% more than they would have had they just bought a year ago instead of renting. And all the income that went to their rent is now gone and paid for someone else's mortgage. So that's the best advice I can give. If you have a very particular situation, obviously, message me. I will do my best to accommodate you with free consultation. I give advice. I've been doing this for a while, and I try to help, and I like to help. So if you have any questions at all, I will throw these little graphs up on my website. But if you don't want to have to go through the extra work to get them, just message me, send me the graphs, and I will shoot them over to you. So I hope you enjoyed this update. I hope it was helpful and gave you a little bit of insight into our market here. And yeah, we'll see you guys next month. Bye-bye.